Hello people, what is going on? Final video of the evening, player ratings. To my right is Jay, and we're here to give you the player ratings for West Ham United 1, Manchester City and Erling Haaland 3. Jay, you was there today. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, I was there. It's confusing, isn't it? It's really confusing. You watch West Ham lose a game of football and they get a standing ovation at the end, and like deservedly so. Like it's weird to want to sit here and praise what was such a good performance.
Yeah.
When we've come away and we've ultimately lost the game. But my thoughts, like we got blown away in that first half, and the fact that we got in a goal down was, we were lucky. We were really, really lucky. The way where I sit, so I sit Bobby Moore upper, and I had like this perfect angle to have a look at the way City lined up. The rotations between Grealish and De Bruyne on that left-hand side were just ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. I felt really bad for Jared Bowen, because I think I'd said before the game in our preview that I felt we should have played 5 at the back. We should have played 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, and that way we could have doubled up, because Wan-Bissaka had to sit tighter and had to sit more narrow, as did Emerson. And that left, and like the way they set up with 4 attacking mids is just mental. It left either Grealish or De Bruyne in acres every time, and we all watched it. The amount of times they'd pick it up and just drive, and we just couldn't live with it. And I felt for Jared Bowen on that second goal, because he effectively didn't know what to do with Jack Grealish. He cut across, finds Haaland, and the rest is history. If you find Haaland within the 18-yard box, he's probably going to score. So, yeah, I thought the first half was we were lucky to go in a goal down, but the second half was just a stunning performance for us to come out a goal down, when previously I would have expected us to kind of sit and try and wait maybe until the 85th to expand a little bit, try and lump the ball forward and create some chaos. We just played some really good football. I thought we were really, really good. And obviously Kudos smacks one against the post. We were dangerous on the counter-attack. There was some misplaced passes in the final third. I've got no overwhelming complaints about the performance. I thought we gave a great account of ourselves. And as I'd said before the game as well, I actually got the prediction bang on. We'd lose 3-1 because we'd be 2-1 down, trying to get back in the game. We're trying to get level and we get caught in a counter. So I couldn't ask much more, putting the result to the side. So proud of the boys, disappointed to lose, but 3 points from the first 3 when I didn't think we'd pick up any, to be honest. I'm pretty happy as far as things go.
I said it in the afterthought earlier on when the game had finished, that I thought West Ham looked different to a point. Yeah, I thought Man City are just Man City, but I will say this, and there was moments in that game where I thought, I can see what they're trying to do, with the balls in the middle of the park and everything. We will get onto the player ratings and talk about a few of these players, but yeah, this one tonight we just lost against a phenomenal striker to a point. Someone who loves scoring the goals against us, and he loves just to sort of score goals in general. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's gonna be one of those, isn't he? Every time on Sky Sports the stats come up of like favourite opponents, and I swear every single person they put up favourite opponent is always West Ham. He's gonna be one of them. He's gonna end up with like 25 goals just against us in his career, isn't
he? Ricky, are you worried Tim has gone shopping for ingredients in Harrods, but we have employed the chip chef from Burger King to cook the meal? Floppy is starting to worry me with tactics and subs. What do you make of that comment, mate?
I don't know. I think it's a bit early to start judging old Floppategi, as our boy Lucas called before the season. Yeah. I think it's early. I actually, in terms of the tactics, I thought we got it wrong in the first half, which is what I just said. I agree with you. He got it wrong in the first half. Second half, tactically, he'd obviously put it up a bit. He got Edson Alvarez playing as this kind of halfback and dropping in between the centre-backs. And when we got the ball, when we got into the final third, he would push forward and be the spare man. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and that gave City something to think about. And like for the most part, until we got caught on the break, he had marked Haaland out the game in that second half. So I have no problem with how tactically Lopetegui set up in the second half. All I can hope is that we take some learnings away from this, and that Lopetegui. I thought he was a little bit stubborn in terms of the way we set up in the first half. I could see, we all could have seen us conceding 4 or 5 in that first half. I thought he was a little bit stubborn and got away with it. But after he made the changes at half time, mate, I had no problem with what he did tactically. I've said there's a vision, and we'll get there, I think.
But I don't think he was bad. I don't think West Ham were bad today. I just thought City were very good.
Yeah,
Joe.
agreed.
If I'm being honest. Like when I look at City today, they were just phenomenally good from the start. Hit the post. Areola kept us in with a great save. Yeah. And you know, it was just you was watching a. Well, I'll tell you what it felt like. It felt like you was watching a City side that had been like a machine for years, and you was like watching West Ham trying to develop a style of play and ways of going about it. But listen, I look at it like this: they've got like £100 million players all over the pitch, and we've got maybe 2 or 3. You know what I mean? So there is a bit of a difference on it. But let's get to these player ratings. Let's start with this man. He kept us in the game. Gets subbed at half time with an injury, I think. For colliding with the post.
I don't know. Oh, was that what it was? Because I had no idea. Obviously, just didn't come out for the second half, and I had no clue. So I don't know if they said anything on comms at the time. Yeah. The notable things are that incredible save from De Bruyne. What a stop that was. I don't know how he even got to it, to be honest. But you know, in terms of a rating, I can't fault him, but he did have to pick the ball out the back of his net twice. I can't blame him for it. I'd say probably a 6. Nothing offensive. The save is great, but like you know, he only played 45 minutes, so I think it's hard.
I will go with you with a 6. I thought the second goal, there's nothing you can do. It's a turn, and it's literally unleashed a rocket from there. And maybe another, people will say he should have saved it. Fair enough, that's their opinion. But for me, I think you've got to take a bow to Haaland for the damage he done with that shot. The first goal, suspect defending more than anything, if I'm being honest. But that's another story. But yeah, 6 for me. We'll move on to this man, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Jay, what do you make of this man? Because for me, he is just, he's amazing.
He's a joke. Like how we got that man for £15 million. He looks like a 50, 60 million pound player all day. Like I knew he was going to be good. And I'd said to you, we've been talking about this guy for a while, haven't we? And I'd said before we signed him that I was really excited for him. And he's better than I could have ever imagined. The way he was, I think the first half, as I've said, tactically we were wrong, and he was kind of sold a bit short. He had to tuck in a bit, but especially in that second half when he was 1-on-1 with Grealish couldn't get past him. Then he has to switch to left back and dug us out of trouble a couple of times, and then marauding forward on either side. He's so good, and we've been like conned into thinking that he can't go forward. Mate, the way he drives forward with the ball, yes, his delivery is not anything crazy special, but the one cross he got to put in, he delivered a great ball into the back post, and we were unlucky that no one got on the end of it. For me, he's up there for man of the match contender. I thought 8 for me. I thought he was absolutely superb.
For me, he's this guy. He is the man we've been looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, he is such a good right back. Yeah, he is like he's the next coming of Jesus. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, listen, right, when we signed him, I have always said, and I've stated it quite clearly over the last few weeks, that Wan-Bissaka is the best signing out of a lot of them. For value, for what he brings, the longevity of the contract. For me, he's the man that is going to be absolutely superb for us. I love this geezer already. I thought Grealish had him on toast in some moments today. Yeah, and it was backwards and forwards. Grealish was winning, then he was winning. And what I like about him is Wan-Bissaka can play right back, he can play left back and all. Do you know what I mean? Like they change it over and he comes on. He's good going forward. Also, he's a sort of man that he can get the ball and he can drive up the pitch and he can also beat a man. Whereas Soufal can't beat a man, and that is major for us. That is
Yeah.
major. I agree with you. I'm going to give him an 8. Yeah, I don't think he done really a lot wrong, and I remember in the second half where he got back and I think he touched the ball back to the goalkeeper. And I think City was about to score another one, and he managed to sort of get back there. I love Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I've said it since jump that he is the guy that I think comes in and we change as a defensive unit. Brilliant.
100%.
8 out of 10. Here comes this man, Mavropanos. What do you make of him today?
It's a difficult one because I didn't notice him a huge amount. It was for the centre backs today. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because and I quickly checked the stats, and I've actually just looked up the stats just to be like, was I imagining things, or like were they just like they were happy because we were playing a low block and it was all about positioning. Like it's hard to really gather anything from their performance from like how many tackles did they make and how many interceptions did they make and stuff like that, because they just had to be so disciplined. Again, with this crazy City formation, he was occupied pretty much the entire first half by a different player. Like whether it was De Bruyne, whether it was Grealish, whether it was Bernardo, whether it was Haaland moving towards him, it was so difficult for us to deal with it because, like I said, I think we got it wrong. Ultimately, from where I was sat, I couldn't say he did anything amazing. I couldn't say he did anything terrible. I think it was a pretty disciplined performance. I thought passing-wise, he was fine. I've got nothing bad to say, so I'd give him a 6 probably, just because he was pretty inoffensive today.
I'm going to give him a 5. Yeah, because we've held 3 today. Like it's as simple as that. Like, listen, I don't think it was bad, but I think it was average, and my average is usually middle of the road 5. For the player that he is, and for that first half, like West Ham was literally defending for their lives and hoping and praying that City weren't going to score another one. Do you know what I mean? But 5 out of 10 for me for Mav. Wasn't amazing, but wasn't awful. It comes to his defensive partner, Maximus Gilman.
I'd probably repeat a lot of the same comments I just said for Mavropanos. I thought he was positionally good. I thought passing-wise he was good. I thought he had a tough job. I don't know about his role in the first goal that we conceded because again, I have one angle. I haven't watched it back. I don't know what his positioning was like for that, so I'll probably lean on you for that. But again, I'd say pretty inoffensive and a 6 for me. But you've got a different angle to me, so interested to hear what you've got to say.
I would say a 6. I think he's a little bit better. I think his passing was a little bit better. I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to warm to this kid. I think he's all right. I really do. I think I feel a lot more safer when he's on the ball. When there's other players on the ball, like Mavropanos, for instance, I don't feel as safe. I think the third goal is just. I think that was just knackered, and he's just run in behind and got the other one. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't think Max was bad today, right, at all, at any stretch of the imagination. But like, we have held 3. And the first goal was a bit suspect defending to a point, but I'm going to give him his flowers. I think he's like I can see him developing into a very good player for West Ham. And when he's on the ball, I don't really worry about him losing the ball. I really don't. So yeah, I'll give him a 6. 6 out of 10. What are you saying about Emerson?
Right. So the first goal really frustrated me. If I remember rightly, I think Emerson tries to pass it into... Was it Emerson? I think Emerson tried to pass it into Paqueta.
Yeah.
And Paqueta loses it. They go for a score. What we've got used to seeing from West Ham is Emerson and Paqueta being a really good outlet for us on the left-hand side. And I was really disappointed with a pair of them today. We'll come to Paqueta, I'm sure. But I was really disappointed with a pair of them today. I thought... You compare, he was probably the best out of our back 4 last season. And he's probably, especially once Todibo gets up to speed and steps in for Mavropanos, he's probably going to be the weakest out of our back 4, which is no slight on him. He hasn't changed as a player. We've strengthened in every other position. But I was generally disappointed with his role in that. It set us off after we had started the game really well, I thought. That first 5 minutes was electric. We got off to a really good footing. And then we just handed him a goal, and all of our good work and all of our prep was out the window from what was a really silly mistake from just some pretty basic playing out from the back. So that frustrated me massively. Outside of that, I didn't see him get forward a huge amount. I didn't see an awful lot going forward. Defensively, I feel quite a lot of sympathy for him because, like I say, the reasons I won't sort of repeat. I think for me, given the mistake early on, I'd probably say a 5.
I'm going to say a high 5. Yeah, it's close to a 6 for me. I thought defensively against Doku, who destroys us usually, I thought he was all right. I really did. I thought he was all right. I thought he was handing Doku. Doku was getting in behind, but Emerson was always there or close enough to him to a point. Obviously, the first half tactics didn't work out, but I'm not going to sit there and blame the players for that. That's a little bit more on Lopetegui for me, because they were so far away and they were allowing so much space to the wingers to basically drive into our area. The pass, and I've had many debates on X about this. People say, "Oh, are you knocking Paqueta?" I think the pass is a bad pass, but I think Paqueta should be reading that pass, coming to him and doing the work with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to give him a high 5, just not a 6 for me. Let's move on to this man, Rodriguez. What are you saying, Joe?
He seems to be growing in a West Ham shirt, doesn't he? Like he's getting up to speed, and I'll tell you what, like it's kind of the combination of Rodriguez and Alvarez is one that we've talked about a little bit on E20. We've discussed whether that sort of double pivot is going to work. Again, I think we can probably park the first half because we got the tactics wrong. And like you, I'm not going to blame the players for it. They were up against it massively in that first half. But I thought the pair of them were really proactive in trying to press the ball. I thought they were disciplined defensively. I think Guido Rodriguez is clearly going to be the one out of those two who is going to try and play the killer balls a little bit more. And Alvarez is going to be the bruiser, which and Guido Rodriguez is no mug as well. He's keen to get stuck in. So I was really happy with a pair of their performances. I think I could probably bolt these two in together. I think Alvarez for me was the better of the two because of what he had to do in terms of changing his role so much in the second half. Rodriguez, I think, was inoffensive. I'd say probably a high 6 for me. And I think Alvarez would get a 7. I think Alvarez was an unsung hero for me today in terms of exactly what I just said. He man-marked Haaland, and then he was still just pushing forward when he could and trying to get involved. So I think I'll bolt my two together there and then hand over to you, and I'll say Rodriguez a high 6 and Alvarez a 7 for me.
Let me just write this quickly. For me, I like him. If he can get up to speed, i.e. to the Premier League, I think we've got a good player on our hands. Very good on the ball, composure. He's very composed and he don't mind getting stuck in. And you know what I like about Rodriguez? I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but he will take a yellow card in a sort of situation. If a team's breaking us, he'd do a little trip, take a yellow card and then set up again. I love that in a player because that's like, it's dark arts, but West Ham have always been too nice to do that to a point. I thought he was decent today in a midfield that in the first half was a bit all over the place, but then they started to get together. And I will get to Alvarez in a minute because I thought Alvarez was superb. So yeah, Rodriguez, I can't give him a 7. I agree with you, a high 6. I think a 7 is a bit. I think he had a good performance, but yeah, I'll give him a high 6. I will stick to my guns on the high 6. Right, let's come to this man, Edson Alvarez. I thought he was absolutely superb today. I really did. I like him a lot, and I was very puzzled why he got subbed. Obviously, people are saying about Edson's fitness. He's just come back from an injury, but we will talk about that in a minute. For me, I thought he was excellent, sort of sitting into that sort of midfield and then dropping into the defensive three with Kilman and Mavropanos. We looked solid when he was in there. He's so good on the ball. Also, passing the ball out, like that's him using that from Ajax when he was at Ajax. So yeah, I've got no words really. I just think he was just. I really liked him today a lot.
I've got a question for you, James. Because and this will link into sort of what happened yesterday in the transfer window. Obviously, we let Agard go, and our fourth choice centre back, especially after today, looks like it's going to be a combination of Alvarez or Kalen Casey. How do you feel if we have injuries and you end up with Edson Alvarez starting at centre back?
Not for me.
Yeah,
not for me. I think as a player that drops into that role and he's in and out, I think he's perfect. Because what it is with Alvarez, he hasn't got blistering amounts of speed, but what he has, he's got awareness. of where the danger's coming from, and he's pretty good tackler, Alvarez, to a point. I don't like it, but I'd have to accept it. But the role he done today, I thought was brilliant. Like when West Ham were in possession, he push up with them and like sort of marshal the midfield with Paqueta, and we do need someone in there who's going to be like that to a point. And then when we weren't in possession of the ball and like they were coming on to us, you see West Ham in a back five, and Alvarez is sitting in the middle of them, and he's like dictating where to go and basically being an organizer to a point. And that's one thing that, as fans, when we look at West Ham, we don't really see a lot of leaders out there. Yeah, Alvarez is a leader. I thought he was top draw today. I'm gonna give him a high 7 for me. I make mine as my rating. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm 7 as well, mate. I thought he was fantastic. Exactly what you said. He's El Machine for a reason. He's going to be our general in midfield, who is going to organise centre backs, midfielders. He's going to get in people's faces. Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. And I didn't realise how much we had missed him in the first couple of games when we didn't have him until today, where he looks. By the way, how on earth has he come back from a hamstring strain or whatever it was that quickly? And he looks like he's not been away. He's not played a game in pre-season. He started on Wednesday, I think, and looked sensational today. So hats off to him. He's obviously put the graft in off the field to get in that kind of shape or stay in that kind of shape to come back and immediately be one of our best players. I think he was just behind Aaron Wan-Bissaka for me in terms of man of the match, I think. So yeah, hats off to him. Like, I'm delighted we've got him back. And
what do you think of the sub of him?
So I don't mind it too much because of how we were going about trying to get the second goal. Yeah. So, and this is something we're going to see, right? And I'm interested to hear. We'll probably save it for. We'll probably talk about the rest of the subs a bit later on. What I don't mind is Lopetegui's gone out and built himself a squad, right? And he's been quite vocal in the fact that he wants 2 players for every position, and he's going to use them. He doesn't want just like passengers in his squad. He doesn't want his Maxwell Cornets who are going to like pick up a wage, not get a game, but they're there in case of an emergency. He doesn't want that. It seems like he wants 22 players who are capable of coming in and starting a Premier League game if they need to start a Premier League game. So in order to, A, keep them all happy, but B, try to find different ways to either draw or win a game, you have to try different personnel at different times. Did he come off for Souček? Yeah, he came off for Souček, didn't he? I thought it was the right time to bring Thomas Souček into the game. And when effectively we tried everything that we could to try and break him down, and then we've gone, do you know what? Now's probably the time to get a bit of physicality. Tiring defense, gaps were starting to open up. If we get a set piece, and lo and behold, the ball fell to Souček literally like a minute later, and he had a chance and he missed it. So I don't have a problem with it, mate. I've got no issue, and it's frustrating to see a player who's had a good game come off. But I thought tactically, I've no problem with it at all.
I don't know. I disagree. I thought West Ham were all right in there. I thought West Ham were coping with Alvarez in the middle of the park. And if you watch it back, Jay, when he comes off, he don't look happy.
Really?
He don't look happy to come off. And he's more sort of I didn't say he was gutted, but he was like, why? The look was like, why? Sort of thing. I get about the fitness, but at 2-1, we're in the game against City. And do you really take off Alvarez in that situation, bring Souček on? I'm not saying that we didn't need to bring Souček on, but you take Rodriguez off then. You take Rodriguez off, and then you put Souček where Rodriguez is. You drop Alvarez, and you keep Alvarez there. Because I think Alvarez, I thought he was excellent today. I really did. Like I looked at him in and out of the ball, didn't make nothing wrong. And that's a big role. And that's against Manchester City that he done that today. And I thought, you know what? Fair play to you, mate. Like you've done that against City, and listen, no one went past him. It was, I just felt it was the wrong choice of sub. But we will talk about that later on.
It has to be the fitness thing, doesn't it? But yeah, we can come back to that when we talk about Lopetegui and the overall subs.
Lucas Paqueta, Jay. I've seen him get a bit of hate tonight on social media. Is it justifiable for him?
I think for me, first of all, I'm a huge Lucas Paqueta fan. Anyone who hears me talk about Lucas Paqueta, I absolutely love the bloke. He's everything that I want to see in a West Ham player. Not we want players who are going to be exciting. We want players who are going to be entertaining. And he certainly is all of that. Before I sort of go into how I thought he played, the problem with Paqueta for me is he looks like he's playing within himself. There's something going wrong, and this has been since the betting thing came out, right? And I think there's been interviews where certain players have talked about how he's been behind the scenes, and it's really affected him. It's affected his confidence. You can see that he doesn't conduct himself on the pitch with that swagger he used to. And that's the real concern for me. Especially you look at where he's given the ball away today, which he gave the ball away a lot. He's given the ball away in positions where he's either just miscontrolling it or misplacing quite simple passes. And that's not what we associate Paqueta with. For me, I am a big fan of the fact that Lopetegui's come in and he's clearly looked at Paqueta and gone, you're the guy I want in midfield in the deep areas who's going to help us unlock teams and who's going to help us actually progress the ball properly, not just lump it forward. But he's playing within himself. His confidence is shot, and I thought he was quite poor today. I was just disappointed with the way he was making mistakes. I've got no, you know me. I've said before, this is a journey, and there will be individual errors, and like that's part of it. Like we've got to accept that. But for me today, he's the one that I turn to and go, if we need someone in a half space who's got to find a good pass, he's the guy that I'm looking for, and he just didn't do it for me today.
Brian said, can someone pull up Paqueta's stats? I don't think he gave it away as much as some people think. He did give it away quite a bit from what I saw. I'll go next. I think the goal is a mixture of both. People are saying it's a poor pass from Emerson. I understand that. But I do think Paqueta should be aware that the pass is short and not have to take a touch. He should just play it first time to a point. I don't like him in a midfield three. I just simply do not like it. I think when he's in that midfield three, if he misplaces a pass, the other team are attacking us straight away. Yeah, and I want him further up the pitch, if I'm being honest, as a 10. Yeah, I think if you get your midfield to pass the ball to him in the sort of final third, then let him make the damage with the boys up top. I just look at him on that sort of midfield front, and I think that he can be a liability. It's as simple as that. He hasn't. Has he had a good game this season? Like so far, like i.e. Villa, Palace, Bournemouth. Bournemouth he come on, and today I haven't really seen nothing from Paqueta. If I'm being honest, like nothing to go. You know what? Wow. So I'm not on this one. I'm gonna give him. I'll give him a 5. I'm not seeing it. I get what you're saying about it, and I see it quite a lot, Jay. You know, people saying about putting him in midfield three, and you know what, he can sort of unlock things, but then he can also cause us problems at the other end. Do you know what I mean? Because if he consistently gives the ball away, then other teams are just going to consistently attack against us all the time.
You're 100% right, mate. And on Brian's comment, I've got the stats in front of me here. And these don't tell the whole story, but he's actually right. So Paqueta lost possession 14 times today. His pass accuracy was 85%. Compare that to Mohamed Kudus. He lost possession 12 times, pass accuracy 84%, but played significantly fewer passes, by the way. He played 19 passes to Paqueta's 67. Jared Bowen lost possession 15 times to Paqueta's 14. Pass accuracy of 61%, having made 11 of 18 passes. So Brian's comment is actually a really valid one. Statistically, it looks like he's pretty in the middle of our sort of the plays you'd associate with our attacking play. But the problem for me was that Bowen and Kudus are probably losing the ball in positions where they're in one-on-ones, or they're trying to play key balls or through balls, or they're trying to play intricate passes like that. I felt like from where I was sat, and I'm happy to have people disagree with me on this because obviously I haven't watched anything back yet. I felt like Paqueta was losing it in a lot more dangerous positions, as you say, James. And I felt like his progressive passing was where he was losing the ball. I felt like he was fine if he was not under pressure. But at the same time, I felt like any time that we relied on him to actually try and move the ball forward and try and pick something out, he couldn't. And that's, to your point, I agree. That's what I want to see from him. I am bought in. I am happy with Paqueta in the deeper sort of positions because I think today is a symbol of what Lopetegui is trying to build, to the point of I'm sure we'll talk about like Thomas Souček at some point, but we were talking about what Lopetegui's plan actually is. Like, what is the style of football? What's he trying to actually achieve here? Are we just going to play hoofball at Thomas Souček because that's what we've done in the first few games? Well, we didn't do that today, and today was the opportunity to do that. If we were going to like set up for anything, we had said before, today was the day to set up a low block, try and feed off the scraps, don't get blown away, and see if we can nick something. Well, we just didn't do that. We just played against one of the best teams in the world, if not the, and we went, do you know what? That isn't our style. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to play some creative players in important positions, and we're going to try and attack these boys. And we did. I heard a stat just now that that's the most shots we've had against Man City since 2016. So this is completely different to what we're used to. So I think whatever people think about Paqueta in the deeper line position, you better get used to it because we're going to see more of it. All I hope is that Paqueta needs to effectively remember that he's a Brazilian. I remember David Moyes talking about who was the left winger? What was his name? Felipe Anderson.
Yeah.
And remember when Felipe Anderson in his second season was a shadow of who he was in his first season. He was dreadful in his second season. And I remember David Moyes saying that he hasn't told him to do anything different. All he's done is he's told him, you're a Brazilian left winger, start playing like one. Ultimately, he didn't, and he got like sent out on a free. So we know how that ended. But the point was right in what Moyes was trying to do with Felipe Anderson, and I think the point is the same for Lucas Paqueta. He's a Brazilian flair player. He plays in a 10 for Brazil. He needs to remember that. He needs to start playing like it again. I remember when he used to pick the ball up in front of his back four, be under pressure, he'd hold some geezer off, and everyone else is shrieking. I'm just laughing my ass off. Like, I think it's brilliant. I love seeing that kind of thing because he's here to entertain. He's not trying to entertain at the moment. He's playing within himself, and that is the concern for me.
The only issue I've got with Paqueta where he is everywhere else. When you're playing for Brazil, you ain't like he has enough time on the ball to do what he likes. In the Premier League, he's not going to have that time, and that's the problem for me. I don't know whether it's the gambling thing that's over his head at the minute. I don't know. Right? I don't, because I'm not being funny. Anyone who's got that sort of thing over your head, it ain't going to be a good thing, right, to have on your shoulders. But as I say, I look at him and I think he's not the player that we had a year ago or 2 years ago when we first signed. And I need to see him. For me personally, I need to see him further forward as a 10 and basically playing like a 10, picking the ball up, spraying the passes about and being accurate with his passing. Like, his passing is inconsistent. Like, 1 minute he's very good, and then 1 minute he will ping a pass through for an eye of a needle, and the next thing he can't do a 5-yard pass. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
do you know what I think is going to be good for him is the signing of Carlos Soler, because Soler, once he's fit, if Paqueta's not playing well, you've suddenly got someone who can come in and play instead of him. And I won't pretend I know a lot about Carlos Soler. Like, he's a very handsome Spanish man, is all I know about him.
He's a good-looking chap. Yeah.
He's a handsome boy, isn't he? So that's all I know about him so far, and that he's come from PSG. We've done good business with PSG previously with Areola. And Lopetegui clearly really wanted him. So I think he's going to be a good signing, that Carlos Soler. But the point is, I think once he's fit, if Paqueta gets dropped once and Lopetegui turns around to him and goes, mate, you've not been good enough. Carlos Soler is going to start today. We'll bring you on later on. And if I see him then come on and go, do you know what? I'm going to prove to you how good I am. And then play with that flair again and play with that swagger again. That's probably what it's going to need.
Maybe
previously, we've not had anyone to do that. So now we do.
Maybe he needs to have that kick up the arse to and get the reality check. Basically, if he gets the reality check, then he's good. What are you rating him?
I'm 5 as well, mate. I could have gone 4, but then when I was on the way home, I actually sat. I was on the train and I was thinking about this, and I was like, "There's other circumstances. There's stuff going on." And then I looked at the stats and was like, "Oh, actually, to be fair, Brian's comment was totally fair." So I think 5 is probably fair. It's not a good game from him today, but I'm still behind him, and I still think him in a deeper role is going to work at some point.
Fair enough, mate. We'll move on to this man, Mohamed Kudus. I love this man. He's so unlucky in the second half not to score. The issue is he's on the left. And he plays it with his left foot and all, I think it was. What do you make of him today?
I think to your point, like, I agree. I absolutely love this bloke. The way he plays football is so much fun to watch. Again, we'll focus more on the second half because he just couldn't get in a game in the first half. Like, neither him or Jared Bowen really could. Bowen, obviously, we'll talk about in a moment. But Kudus couldn't get in a game until the goal that we scored, when he drops in, gets on the ball, and again does what Kudus does and goes, I'm not just going to play the easy pass. I'm going to get on the ball and someone's going to have to try and rip this off me. And nobody could. He cuts across, plays a great ball, and suddenly we're away. So he was the spark that gave us our goal. And to your point, in the second half, like, he thundered that ball so hard against the post and deserved his goal today. The thing I want to see more from Mohamed Kudus, because this him playing the left thing, it's not going away. Like, we're probably going to be talking about this for a long time. And I agree with you. Ideally, we find a way of getting him central, and we find a way of getting him in the game more. I think especially when Bowen came off and he moved to the right, mate, how quickly did he get in the game, and how much more comfortable was he cutting inside? So, and there's the question about whether there's a solution to that in switching those two at some point, but we'll come to that. What I want to see more of from him is I want to see him forcing himself into the game. So he might be stuck out on the left, but when we scored that goal, he forced his way into the game. He dropped in, he came central, and he went, give me the ball and I'm going to make something happen. And he made something happen. So I want to see him do that more. I want to see him take more initiative and grab the ball by the horns. So for me, I think a high 7 for me. I thought he was really good. I thought he worked really hard. He fed off of scraps, and the scraps that he got, he turned into something. So 7 for me.
He's not a left-sided attacker, mate. And I will preach it and fucking preach it on this channel until he goes back to where he should be, i.e. as a 10 or as a right winger. I love Mo, but I feel we're not getting the best out of Mo. And that is a problem, yeah? And like you just said, and I make you 100% right, the moment you move him from left to right, completely different player. Completely, like, he's more involved, he's more threatening, etc. Even if you don't want him on the right, put him as a 10. Yeah, he can pick the ball up, he can beat people. Like today, he was bulldozing his way through people. He's unlucky with the effort. I'm going to give him a strong 7, just not an 8 for me. I thought he gave it everything. Like, the only issue with him that is not the same as Jared Bowen, to a point, is that when Bowen's defensively coming back and working, he's on it. Mo is sometimes not on it. Yeah, there was a chance in the second half, I think it was, where I think it was Rico Lewis comes in beyond, comes around the back, slips through, and Mo is just a ball watching to a point. Got there, but he's a few seconds behind it. But the problem is Mo on the left, and it would always be a problem until it gets addressed. But today I thought he was decent. I'm going to give him a strong 7 out of 10. We'll move on to the captain, Jared Bowen. What are you saying?
I really, really felt for him in that first half. I touched on it earlier. He was hung out to dry a little bit by Lopetegui in that first half. That crazy formation that City play with, like, one central midfielder almost in like a half 6, half 8 position, and then like 2 10s, 2 wingers, and Erling Haaland just being Erling Haaland. We weren't set up to deal with it, and Bowen was basically playing as a right wing back, and he got roasted. Like, he didn't know what to do, because who is going to know what to do? Tell me a right winger in the world who's going to be able to deputise for their right back and be able to deal with that Man City attack. There's a reason that they go and bulldoze teams. And so I felt for him a lot in that first half. That being said, he obviously did brilliantly for the goal. That is the Jared Bowen that we know and love. I think it was a pretty good performance. I don't think it was an incredible performance. I'm probably like high 6, maybe creeping into 7. I'm probably going to stick with a high 6, I would say.
Let me put a question to you. And this is a question to everyone in the chat also. Mohamed Kudus, Jared Bowen, who do you prefer on the right?
This is a good question. And one of the questions I was going to ask to you, and another question I'll ask the chat as well, is swapping Kudus and Bowen something we could consider as a resolution to this problem, even if it's within a game. I know Bowen is not a left winger, and I know my thoughts on it, but interested to know what other people would think of it. Who do I prefer on the right? They're just very different players, aren't they? Bowen wants to get one-on-one with a player and try and go past him. He wants to try and get to the byline when he can, knowing that he can kind of cut back. Kudus wants a player, he wants the ball back to goal, and he wants a player to come and try and nick it off him, and he's gone. And it's as simple as that. And then he's beat someone and he's got space, and then he wants to drive. So I think Kudus is probably more exciting in that respect because he's a less traditional right winger. But I think Bowen's Mr. Reliable. I think there's very few games nowadays where Bowen goes missing. Even today, which I don't think was his best game, it was a tough game for him. He's still the guy who come up and came up trumps to get us our goal. So I think in terms of I prefer seeing Bowen on the right because I trust him so much and because you lose a lot of what he's good at when you put him in centre forward, albeit he's a really good finisher. So, mate, there's this attacking lineup for us is a conundrum. But what do you think, mate?
I will say this, yeah. I'll quickly go through it today. I thought he tried his hardest, and there was moments where we was counter-attacking, and he had a really good pass into Kudus for the chance where he hit the post.
Yeah,
I felt sorry for him in the first half. I agree with you. I think this man has to go up front. It's as simple as that. Yeah, I think he would be deadly in an 18-yard box striker, someone who's there or thereabouts, playing on the last man, etc. For me, the question that I've just put to everyone in the chat and yourself is that Bowen or Kudus, who's better on the right? Do we really need Jared Bowen on the right when we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a right back? I don't think we do. And I think what you do, you put Mo on the right, who's not defensively very good, and Wan-Bissaka is very defensively very good, and you have Jared Bowen up front. I'm going to give Bowen a 6 today. Great effort for the goal. Like, obviously, good work. Felt sorry for him in the first half. Second half was in and out. Do you know what I mean? But that's Bowen for you. Love him, like captain and everything, but it just wasn't his day. But for me, we've got. If you're going to do this, right, why would you have Bowen on the right when Wan-Bissaka's a right back who's the best defensively right back there? Do you know what I'm saying? I just think you play Bowen through the middle of the park, put us on the right, and then that covers everything, in my honest opinion. Jay, anything else you want to add on to before we move on?
No, I think you've covered it, mate. That, like I say, that left wing, right wing is going to be. We're going to be talking about this all season. I think it's going to be a really. And can I just say, it's a great problem for us to have. We've got so many good players that this is going to be interesting to see how Lopetegui solves it effectively. So great problem to have, but I hope that we manage to see all these players at their free flying best because we're in for an exciting time if we do.
Fair enough. Move on to this man, Mikel Antonio. We've got a 34-year-old striker up front against Manchester City, Jay. I thought he was okay, but no, I tell you a lie. I thought he was average. Well, I thought he was average today. I thought he runned about, but there is nothing there. There's nothing there, and I thought he runned around for 20 minutes, run out of steam, and then that was it. And there was actually a stage in the second half where he was just walking about. He's just walking about. What do you make of Mikel Antonio, mate?
I thought, to your point, I thought he ran himself into the ground, and I saw why he was. I saw why he started today. It doesn't mean I necessarily would have started him myself, but I saw why he started. He was ruffling up the centre backs. He was getting in people's faces. He actually helped us progress the ball a couple of times when we were counter-attacking really well as well. And he got a standing ovation when he come off. He always does, and he deserves it. Like he's a legend at the club, in my opinion. But to your point, what I want to see more of from Lopetegui is more versatility in the way we use these strikers. Because I felt like, to resolve the exact point that we were talking about just now, when Antonio was tired in the second half, you could have thrown Bowen up top, Kudus on the right, Somerville on the left a bit earlier, and give him something different to think about. And then you've got Bowen going in behind, which there were some opportunities to do that. And when we were breaking, that could have been the silver bullet. That could have been the way that we got through. You'll never know, will you? So in terms of Antonio himself, I thought he worked really hard. I thought he helped us a lot. It was always going to be a difficult game for him. He was feeding off the scraps. I don't remember him having a shot. I don't know whether he actually did. I'll have to check. I think probably high 5, low 6. I'm gonna give him a high 5 for me.
I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna be honest. He should like. How can I put this? Right, the game kicks off. He has a golden chance in the first minute. I think if that's a proper centre forward there, i.e., someone who's sort of natural born finisher, that's in the back of the net. Yeah, within the first minute. After that, he runs about a lot, Antonio, and I can't fault his effort to a point. But I look at him and I just feel he's done. I just feel he's done, Jay. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to bring Brian in shortly, yeah? I'm going to say my bit on this. I don't know why he's starting for West Ham. If I'm being truthfully honest, it's not a dig at him because he's a legend at West Ham. It's no disrespect to Mikel Antonio, but why is he still starting at the club when he's a perfect impact sub from the bench for the last 20 minutes? Do you know what I'm saying? It makes no sense for me. He's going to get a high 4 for me. There was nothing there. There was nothing there for all the time he was on the pitch. He runs about. He doesn't really do a lot. And I know City are good. Don't get me wrong, but I've got to look at it and predict and say up a rating on face value to a point. And on that, I just don't think he was there. Let's bring this man in. Brian,
how we doing, fella?
How we doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. Knackered, man. Just got back, so yeah, but I'm all right. Despite the result, I'm good.
Well, while you join us, we'll run through it. Give me your thoughts on Antonio, mate.
It's interesting because I just heard what you said today, and it was one of those ones when I looked at the lineup today, I was happy with the lineup, to be fair. I think that was the one position that you could make an argument for and say, you know what, we perhaps could and should have started full crew. But the thing is, against City, you're playing against a team whereby if you want to catch them on the break, you need a bit of an outlet and you need a bit of pace and a bit of variety. You're not going to get that with full crew as such. But then you could start with him with the view of bringing Antonio on for the last half hour, 20 minutes, but you could be like 5-0 down. Do you know what I mean? So it depends how you look at it. But I think for me, I weren't too bothered with the lineup. I thought the lineup was okay and I was happy with it. In terms of Antonio, I think today he showed a lot of heart, to be honest with you. I think his first touch, we know he's not the best technically gifted footballer. And as a result of that, a few balls were bouncing off him, particularly in that first half. But what we did see on occasions is that he pulled out to the left and you know, held the ball and spun his man and sort of ran down, which provided an opportunity for the team to all push up because it was quite deep at the time. So the effort and the endeavour was there. It just lacked the finesse and quality. And against a team like City, when you make a mistake, you get punished. So I think for me, in terms of what I would rate him, if I was giving him a rating, I'd give him a high 5, you know? I'd give him a high 5, I think.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but yeah, I'll give him a 4. Brian, what I'll do, I'll quickly run through it with you. Just give us your ratings and then we come up to speed. Areola, mate, 45 minutes.
45 minutes, made a couple of good saves in that time as well. Nothing he could have done, I feel. I haven't seen anything back, haven't seen no replays, and seen no stats. So I'm just kind of shooting it off face value what I saw live. But for the time he had, I would probably give him a 6.
6 out of 10.
Brian and me are raw dog in this. I know.
I know. I can imagine it. I know, right? Wan-Bissaka, Brian.
Wan-Bissaka again. I think it was another good performance. He did a couple of times make like very minor errors, which against a normal team, if we put it that way, wouldn't have made no difference. But to get against City, you get caught out again, you get punished. So for his second full start, I'm going to give him a 6.5.
Mavropanos, mate.
5. 5. I think for me, you know, I'm not his biggest fan anyway. I think he has started the season well, and he would be a good covering centre back for me. He's not a starter. He's got a mistake in him. I admire. He gets brave. He gets brave on the ball. I believe he thinks he's better on the ball than he actually is.
Yeah.
And when he gets closed down a little bit, he'll then hit the ball long. But again, he got caught out today a couple of times, and positioning, like watching Haaland live, is just something else. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy. Some of the things the guy was doing, like literally in certain parts of the field, he was just walking, like literally walking. Then he would just do a darting run, and Mavropanos was forever like looking over his shoulder. So for me, yeah, he's got to get a 5, and I think that's even being generous.
Gilman.
Positional play was decent with Kilman today. He was trying to communicate with his defenders, but there were times where it looked like there weren't no continuity between them. It's probably a game that definitely tested him position-wise because of the wingers, in addition to Haaland, particularly in the first half. So I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him maybe a 6. Just
yeah. Emerson.
Interesting one. Had a lot of good moments, I felt, in the first half in particular. I was very curious to see the matchups with both fullbacks, with Doku and Grealish, actually. So I wanted to see how Emerson fared, and I think like he did a couple of nice few touches, went forward a few times, was good, got caught out for the yellow card, and that's why I think he was sacrificed later on. But the mistake in the first half, 6-1, half a dozen the other, who you blame for it? I kind of blame both of them, to be honest with you. I think he played the safe ball. Paqueta got caught out. And then as a result, bang, bang, bang. So I'm going to give him, I'm probably generous as well. I'm probably going to give him just a 6. It could be a 5.5. I'm going to give him a 6.
Alvarez.
Do you know what? Alvarez, man. Yeah, I liked Alvarez today. He wasn't like amazing, but I think considering he's like returning back to fitness, this is a game he had to be switched on. I don't know if a lot of people cottoned it, but second half, he basically played as a sweeper. We went to a back 5. Yeah. I don't know if people saw that. Do you know what I mean? But and then that stifled Haaland, and it also stifled both wingers on the flanks. Great tactical change. It impacted the game significantly, and his positional sense was really good. Trying to push the midfield up as well. I think it's a really solid game for him, I feel. I'm going to give him a 6.5. Potentially could it be a 7, but I'll give him a 6.5.
Rodriguez.
Again, I think he was good. He got caught out a couple of times. And again, we know he's not the quickest in terms of pace. But I like Rodriguez, I think he reads the game well.
He's good.
And he's neat and tidy on the ball. His positional sense kind of allows him a little bit for the lack of pace that he has. But I'm very interested to see how it's going to work going forward when we get all the guys in and we get Soler in but I think I'm going to give him a 6. He could be a 6.5 as well. I think him and Alvarez were neat and tidy.
Lucas Paqueta, Brian.
God.
That's how we are, 100%.
I'm giving him a 4.5, man. I think the guy was gutter. In the first half, to be fair, Rico Lewis was tucking in. So he's coming from right back and inverting into that midfield position. And between him and Kosovic, they kind of just shut Paqueta down. Paqueta likes to have the extra touch on the ball, almost play cat and mouse with players to then draw space. They weren't having that today. And I think after he gave away the ball, that gave away the goal, he did something else and the crowd got in his back a little bit. And I think that affected him a little bit. And then he sort of kind of went into his shell. Second half, he showed a bit more tenacity, but he just didn't impact the game. He didn't influence the team. He didn't impact the game as far as I'm concerned. And I kind of have this love-hate thing with Lucas Paqueta. I think he's a quality player. I think a game like today, it would have been one where he probably would have done more damage on the left, with maybe Kudus in the middle, or just maybe interchanging, because Bowen and Kudus interchanged quite a bit. So it would have been good if he was part of that and maybe see if he was on the left a couple of times. But I'm giving him a 4.5.
Mohamed Kudus, mate.
Yeah, I enjoy these. Again, he's been consistent. We know he's one of those players where I feel we know what he can do, and therefore the expectations probably a bit more from some of our fans at certain points. But I think he's been consistent in terms of his work rate and his tenacity and influence in the game. Obviously, he had those a few key moments, one particular in the second half where he undercooked the ball to Bowen and then the turnover happened. But again, I think him and Bowen provided us with a bit of a cutting edge threat. So I'm actually going to give him a 7.
Yeah, I thought he was decent tonight. Finally, Jared Bowen.
Bowen as well. I think Bowen worked hard. He looks more like how we know Bowens can be. He's been a bit sluggish. I think some of the international lads have been a bit sluggish start of the season so far. And I think a lot of them haven't found their rhythm. And that's probably why we haven't seen like all of the guys we want to see out all together, all the new boys and that. Even Paqueta, I think he's probably going to get cooking come after the international break, hopefully, when you start finding some rhythm. But I think in the second half, particular, Bowen showed, again, a lot of tenacity. He became a bit of an outball when we changed the system a little bit. Him and Kudus kind of remained quite high and wide. So anytime we turned it over, we had counterattacks. Run out of steam a little bit towards the end. He's done a lot of running, a lot of pressing. Sometimes unnecessarily. If you see City, if you see the way they play, they don't like exert themselves, you know. It's just nice shape and they'll press you down. We tend to do just a lot of just like maniac running sometimes. But I'm gonna give him a 7. You know, I'm probably being generous, but I'm gonna give him a 7. I think
7 out of 10. Right, we're up to speed now. We go to the subs. Fabianski, Jay, what you giving him? What you saying?
If I remember rightly, he made a couple of good saves. He's the other side of the ground in the second half. So similar to that Antonio chance that you guys were talking about, I'm like, I don't know how close he actually was. Like, I know we had the big chance in the first part, but I was other side of the ground. As far as I know, he made a couple of good saves. I thought his distribution was good, Fabianski. He kept trying to find Bowen on the counter attack. We knew what our tactic was, and it was try and catch him unaware. And it was working as well. So I thought he was good. He did ultimately have to pick the ball out of his net, but can you blame him for it? Probably not really. I'll probably go a 7, I would say.
I'll give him a 6. I thought he was decent. Maybe a high 6, just not a 7 for me. Brian?
Yeah, same 6. I think 6. He didn't really do much wrong. I think Jay's right. He did, you know, his distribution was better because Fabianski can sometimes slow things down a little bit, and the distribution can be a little bit on the slow side. But yeah, you know, it's nothing he could have done really about that. The third goal, but I'll give him a 6. I feel
6. Right, we made a double substitution. Soufal and Füllkrug. Brian, what did you make of both of these lads?
Yeah, they come on and gave their part. I think, you know, one came on based on Emerson. I think because Emerson had that yellow, I don't think it was anything to do with tactics. I just think it was the yellow. And then Soufal got his chance to come on. Did okay. You know, I mean, didn't really put a foot wrong. He did get done once, but at least Grealish wasn't on because, you know, him and Grealish have had some battles over the over the years. But I think for me, Soufal, I'll just give him a 5.5. To be honest, I don't think he did anything wrong, and I don't think he did anything amazing. With Füllkrug, I think. Again, man, these little cameos are probably not doing him any favors. But again, it's another opportunity for him to get up to speed with the league. I feel there was a chance, wasn't it, that came across square in the box, and then there's one chance he laid off, didn't he? And thinking, why don't you just shoot? And another chance he just kind of got caught up on his feet. So again, man, I just think when he plays, we should be doing wing play. You know what I mean? I want to be whipping in balls and stuff like that. In fact, Soufal did try to whip one in, but I'll probably give him the same 5.5.
I'll go next. If Jay's all last, I'm going to go 5 for the pair straight away. I think both of them didn't really make a lot of impact to a point. I think Fulkrug's an interesting one. I look at him and I need to see something from him. Like I need to see that he wants to be West Ham's first choice centre forward, and I'm not seeing it at the minute. I'm seeing a player coming in and not really doing a lot. So yeah, I agree with what Brian just said. He has a chance to shoot, and he lays it off. And I'm thinking, Fulkrug, just have a shot, have a go. So yeah, I'll make it 2 5s for them two lads. Jay, what you saying?
I think what frustrated me today, and I get your point. We have this conversation about Fulkrug quite regularly, and I'll defend him for as long as I can. I'll start with Soufal though. Something that really, really annoyed me about Soufal today, and I'm not here for Soufal hate. I really like the bloke and I really respect him, but the plan was quite clear at that stage of the game. It was stick it on Fulkrug's big German bunts, and we just didn't do it. Like the whole point of Soufal coming on and switching Wan-Bissaka to the other side, Wan-Bissaka did his part. He inverted, he drove forward, he got involved in build-up play, and he looked sensational. Soufal came on so that he could get the ball in the corner of the box and whip a ball across. And he had an opportunity to do that at one point. He had no one near him, and he dithered, and he ended up trying to drive to the byline, and he gave it away. And it really, really annoyed me because Fulkrug was in there. The whole plan was that we were chasing the game. We had like 10 minutes to go, and he didn't do it. And that really, really frustrated me because we had the back and forth with Mitch the other day, and I tried to defend Soufal about that he's still got a role to play. That's his role. If you're chasing the game, that's the right 2 subs to make. And Soufal didn't do his bit, so it really frustrated me today. For that one thing alone, I'll give him a 4 instead of a 5. It just really frustrated me because the game was there for the taking. On Fulkrug, again, he was just feeding off scraps. This wasn't the game for him. I think, is it Chelsea we've got next?
No,
Fulham next. Okay, fine. Yeah. That's the kind of game where you want to start Fulkrug. Like that. That's the kind of game. Like playing against City, he needed someone around him, and this wasn't the kind of game where you were having a number 10 near him because. Like ultimately, I don't know how many aerial duels. 2 aerial duels, he won both of them. Like this is the kind of guy where if we're chasing a game, you need to just kick it at him, and we just didn't do it enough. So ultimately, I think when we see him start a Premier League game, again to Brian's point, the international guys have looked a little bit sluggish, and he hasn't looked fully fit. So I'd be a little bit more generous with Fulkrug, and I'd maybe give him a 5 just because he didn't really have much time to impact it. But there will be a game where he starts where it's the right game for him. And he will have that impact. And James, you will, knowing that you're the honourable guy that you are, you will eat that delicious slice of humble pie when Fulkrug bangs in a couple of goals and you're like, this is the German Messiah. And you'll get the Jesus noise out again.
I'll second that. I think like we will progressively lead to a place where Fulkrug will be the person leading the line. And even with Todibo, however people want to pronounce his name, will potentially be the person lining up against Kilman. I think we're gonna get there, but it's just not right now. And then Antonio will be the impact sub, and I think when that happens, it'll be different. And there's a lot I was happy with today. It's just the mistakes.
Yeah, I completely agree. It comes this man, Thomas Souček, comes on. For Edson Alvarez, which was weird. But what did you make of him, Brian?
It was one of those ones where, as you said, the substitution seemed weird, but I just think it was just purely based on Alvarez getting minutes. He started to get leggy a little bit, so it was probably more about him, getting a bit tired. So he did well playing 75 minutes, but I think, you know what, he didn't really do much wrong. He had that big chance, didn't he, it was laid off to him. And I think with a little bit more composure, it's weird with Souček because there are times where he's in that position because we know he gets himself in that position. And if he just had a bit more composure, he could get a lot more goals. And that was one of them today where it kind of came at him. So, but other than that, he weren't too bad. He didn't... Did he give the ball away? I'm trying to remember.
No, not really. Not really.
Yeah.
He was a lot further forward in the second half because he was pushing.
Yeah. So, I'd give him a 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to make mine short and sweet. I'll give him a 5 out of 10. I think the chance is golden, though. Like if there's a bit of composure there and he can get it on target, then it could go in. And that's the thing with Souček. 1 minute he can hit like an absolute cork of a shot, it could go in. Then the following week he had the same shot and it go miles wide. So yeah, I'll give him a 5. Jay, what you saying?
Yeah, that goal away at Everton last season seems a long time ago, doesn't it? Like when he picks one up and slaps it top bins. Where was that today? Like that's why he comes on. For me, that's his role in the squads, is bringing him on in those scenarios. I need to see the chance back, but to me, from where I was sat, it looked like a great chance. But you know, frustrating. Didn't have a lot of time to impact it. So yeah, short and sweet for me. I'd say 5 as well.
5 out of 10s all round. Let's come to this man. Had a great chance at the end, like curling shot.
What a save!
Great save from the goalkeeper. I want to see him starting. Obviously, there's no point really rating him, but I will rate him for that shot. I think that shot was great. And it was a shame because we was 2-1 down, and he was about to come on. And then all of a sudden they go 3-1 down, and it was like his face was like, I can't make an impact. But he was, I want to see him starting. Brian, quick thoughts on Somerville, mate?
Yeah, you know what? You summarised it perfectly, to be fair. I think he'll get his time. I didn't think today would have been the right game to start for him because he's very slight and City are very physical, strong, particularly defensively. But that was his perfect position. He likes to just cut in and just whip it in. So he'll get his chance. And I think, I'll give him a 5. I'll give him a 5 because he didn't really have like much time, but he'll get his chance.
Jay?
Yeah, agree with everything you boys have said. I'd have loved to see that effort nestle in the top corner, but a great save. I think Ipswich will be the game. That's when, for me, I want to see him start. I think Ipswich, they should be coming to London Stadium and we should be showing him who's boss. For me. So I think Ipswich should be the game that he starts. I think 5. He didn't have much time to impact the game. What I saw was bright, but yeah, he only had about 5 minutes or so, didn't he?
Yeah. Referee today, Brian. What do you make of the ref?
Can't stand the guy, but you know what? He's a good ref. He's I can't stand him, but he's decent. He's you know what I mean? He's a good ref. He didn't really do much wrong. It was funny because and Jay would have saw this as well when the third goal went in. Literally, he had probably about 10,000 people like walk out the stadium, and then I'm looking at the ref, and then he's being spoken to in his ear. So I'm thinking, hold on, it could be, you know what I mean, VAR situation. So you're seeing a few people on the stairs like hold, like whether they're going back to their seat or not. But you know what I mean. I can't really fault him, to be fair. There's not really any key moments that spring to mind at the moment. It's all a bit hazy at the moment. But yeah, what do we rate refs as well? Yeah.
Oh, well, basically, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you exactly what I thought of him today. I thought there was a few fouls and a few yellow cards that he dished out a bit too quick for me. Rodriguez gets a yellow card for a foul, and it was his first foul he'd done all game. And it was just a little clip, but nothing major. He obviously got booked. Emerson got booked, which obviously affected us moving forward. I thought he was okay. I do agree with you, Brian. He ain't the best referee. he's a good referee, but I don't like him. But I get what you're saying. I'll probably give him a standard 5. I thought there was a few yellow cards there today that he could have just let go because the game was a bit like, well, it was a bit 100 mile an hour, especially in the first half. Like we was going forward, they was going forward. So yeah, I'll say a 5. Jay, give us a number.
Yeah, I just very quickly, I thought he had a really good game until those yellows started coming out in the second half. And again, annoyingly, the yellows were the other side of the pitch to me. So I couldn't comment on whether they were yellows, but it did feel like the second, exactly what you said, Rodriguez is yellow. He got booked on his first tackle. So I thought he actually let the game flow really, really well until then. So I'd probably say 6. But yeah, I'd need to see some of the stuff back.
Brian, give me a number.
Yeah, 6.5.
6, right. Final rating of the evening is the boss, Julian Lopetegui. I'll let Brian go first. Brian, what did you make of it today from starting lineup to the final whistle, mate, with him?
Today is the one game where I felt that I actually saw like a variety of in-game tactical changes, things that were happening with the personnel. and there was a lot I was happy with. I think the lineup was right for the opposition that we were playing. I think the tactical change of putting Alvarez as almost like a sweeper was genius. Because not only did it nullify Haaland, it also nullified Grealish and Doku, which therefore made City have to basically take their wingers off and bring on midfielders. So then they changed. So it was a nice little chess match. If you're, if you're a tactical geek like myself, you're looking at all these things and seeing all these chess moves. So from that point of view, I found it interesting, and it's kind of an insight to potentially how maybe we might set up against top 4 teams. It will be really interesting when Sola comes in, because I was kind of the view that with people like Alvarez and Rodriguez, you're going to play one or the other maybe. But then it could be for top 4 games or away games. You could see what we saw today, both of them play, and then a Paqueta or Soler, or so really interesting. I think it was down to mistakes today, which is effectively is down to the players. I think there was a game plan. We weren't distributing sort of like long balls, which we've been doing in the previous games, which is definitely an instruction, in my opinion. So I think I'd give him, it's probably generous, but I give him an 8 today because of the in-game changes, substitutions. Because I just like when, if you take players off, just take them off. So substitutions, and the players like almost sort of playing like a mid press. You can't play like a high press with City, because if they catch you out, you're done, you're open. So team pressed well from the front on occasion. So there was a game plan. So I'd give him an 8.
I'll go next. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought the first half we were getting literally bombarded by City. Like, don't get me wrong, City are a good side. I think we all know that, yeah. But the tactical change at half time was a stroke of genius to a point. The only issue I have with that is that why didn't he do that in game, like in the first half, and like because we was getting completely destroyed by City. They were just going through the middle of us, down the side of us. I don't get the space aspect of the fullbacks allowing City's wingers to have so much space on either flank, and like our players so narrow inside. Like, that one didn't make no sense. And the moment he changed it at half time, West Ham looked a completely different side. Like dropping Alvarez in there as a third centre half, aka like a sweeper, and then we looked like a different side. The subs, I would have liked to have seen Somerville on in like the last sort of 15 minutes. I think giving him 5 minutes is not right for me, but that's just my personal preference. But listen, I think he done all right today. We're getting out of the tactical situation that he put himself in the first half, because I thought first half we just wasn't there, but they were very good. Like, it ain't because we made them good. I think they were just good in general today. So yeah, I'll give them a 7. Obviously, we've lost the game also. So I'll go with a 7. Jay, what you saying?
Yeah, to your point, like, I couldn't agree with you more. I'd said before the game I wanted to see us start effectively a back 5 or a 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it, for that exact reason. And I was really frustrated with Lopetegui in the first half because he'd hung Jared Bowen out to dry so badly. Like, Bowen I just felt for him so bad. You could see the frustration on his face that he was having to track these wingers, these wing backs, and then the wingers were rotating with the number 10s, and he was having to deputise. Effectively, he was a right wing back in that first half, which he's not a right wing back. So I was really frustrated with him at the first half, and was surprised that we weren't 3-4 down, considering how much we got dominated and how wrong I felt the setup was. And to your point, James, I felt exactly the same. The out ball was on the left constantly. Like, De Bruyne was in so much space every time we got the ball out there. Or then it was Grealish. And the issue you've got is when De Bruyne is out there, he can just fizz a ball wherever he wants to. When Grealish gets out there, he's just going to drive at you, and he could turn either way. So, and we just didn't deal with it. And it was really, really irritating. But he redeemed himself for me in that dropping Alvarez into the halfback position, having him play as this sort of quasi centre back, and then push forward when we had possession. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was fully behind the subs. I saw the vision. I saw what he was trying to do. So, and I'm fully on board with the fact that in 6 games time, this West Ham team is going to look completely different. And that's not in terms of the personnel, that's not in terms of the style, but that's in terms of how much they're going to gel. So he's moving in the right direction. I was annoyed with him at first. He wears nice trainers. I'll give him a 7 out of 10.
He does wear nice trainers. I will say that.
There's been a serious trainer check at the ground. Like Tim Steidem wears nice trainers. Lopetegui wears nice trainers. This trainers suit trousers cardigan thing, I could get behind it. I need to get shopping.
Listen, JD full of trainers, lovely. You know what I mean? One thing I will say is that the only thing with Lopetegui, like with the Alvarez thing, is just like that's the one where I look at it and I think that was a bit of a game changer to a point. I know, listen, I understand the fitness thing, I get it, yeah, but at 2-1 down, I thought we had City under control to a point. Like I thought we had nullified them, and I agree with what Jay said earlier on about. And I think you even mentioned it, Brian, about the midfield all coming together and like they wasn't going wide no more. They was bringing on midfielders instead of wingers. So I could sort of get that, and I just look at that and I think if Alvarez is still there, like for another 15 minutes, maybe West Ham might not have conceded that third goal to a point, but. Nevertheless, I did see sparks of little moments of West Ham. I don't know about you, Brian, but it was like I was seeing something that we haven't seen for a while. Like the counter-attacking looked slick. It looked frighteningly good. And listen, City are just a world-class team, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? And we are a team that is learning on the job to a point. Do you know what I mean? It's going to take us a lot of time. Any final thoughts for you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of back up on what you said, really. Yeah, there were moments for us where we beat their press, and there was some nice intricate passing, beat the press, which allowed us to go behind and have a bit of an outball. And I think on the back of what Jay's saying as well, I think, yeah, in 5 to 7 games time, we're going to be in a bit of a rhythm where we could, we'll give basically anyone a game. It's just the fact that if we look at our fixtures and we've just happened to have, a couple of top 4 teams within the first 3 fixtures. And like, I think that the next few games are after the international break, which everyone hates the September international break, man, because it's just the worst one. You just get into the flow of things and there's an international break. But I think the next couple of games, with that being Fulham and then the home game is Chelsea.
Chelsea after 12, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're really good games to kind of measure where we're at, I feel. Yeah, definitely.
I agree. I'm looking at the future with him, and I'm a little bit mixed with the striker front. I'm not going to lie. I think the striker is a little bit of an issue at the minute. I think come Fulham next, we're going to have to know which one's going to go. Like for me, I think if Fulcrum's going to be your centre forward, then you chuck him in against Fulham and you play that game and you work off of that, because that week's going to be a busy week for West Ham. We've got Fulham, we've got Liverpool on the Tuesday in the Carabao Cup, and then we've got Chelsea at 12:30 on the Saturday. So that week all the way through is going to be busy. So I need to see if Fulcrum is the guy. I need to see him. Like I need to see him play 90 minutes or 80 minutes consistently in that week, so to speak. But yeah, listen, City are just City, right? They do this to every team. One thing I will say, just to round this video up, I was very proud of the boys today, though, because they could have lost their heads in that first half, completely fell apart, and we would have been sitting here tonight going, we've just been absolutely annihilated. But in the second half, we come out and we really did give it a go. And there was moments where we looked dangerous to a point. I thought, you know what, this. And Jay said it earlier on, it's the most shots we've had against City since 2016, I think it is. Yeah. So it's been a long 8 years. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Boys, thank you very much for both of you for coming on. I really do appreciate it on this fine Saturday night. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself over there today. Didn't get the result, but you was entertained, wasn't you?
It was good fun. It was good fun, yeah.
Yeah. So listen, go and follow Jay and follow Brian on Instagram and everything else. That is me done. Right. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV. Hit the notification bell and all that. Listen, Manchester City are a world-class team, world-class manager, and they've got a world-class centre forward in their ranks. And listen, like. I believe they're going to win the league this year. Like when you see, and what the boys have said about Haaland, when you see him live, and someone spoke to me earlier on and said, James, Haaland in the flesh is he's just an animal, mate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's bagged 3 goals tonight, and he hasn't really sort of broke a sweat to a point. But it is what it is. Anyway, from me to you, take care of yourselves and each other.